One of my favourite television shows on the 10 network is called The Shark Tank, where a group of people who they call them the sharks, and they are approached by entrepreneurs, young people every week who have a whole bunch of great ideas. Sometimes they get in, they have a good plan, and the sharks actually invest their money in their products. Often that doesn't happen. For example, not last night, but on Tuesday on the Shark Tank, it was so embarrassing. There were a bunch of people went in who didn't just have a plan, and I'm afraid the sharks just pretty much ate them up. Susan Laidlaw, I hope, is not that sort of person. She's a business reformer coach and entrepreneur's mentor, and joins us on Australia Overnight. Hello, Suzanne. Thanks for your time.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me, Alan.
Oh, great to have you with us. This is the sort of business you're in. You're someone who has a whole lot of, people who have great ideas come to you. But I guess, as we see on television, they often rock up with what looks like a really good product, but no business plan.
Absolutely. And I see that a lot, Alan. People will come with an idea, and then I start to dig deeper and ask them, okay, so, who's your target market, or, how much does it cost to produce this? And they go blank. And we wonder why so many people go under, because they have these ideas and they just think, oh, I might start a business and quit my job, without actually investigating it a little bit further. And if you've never ran a business, well, you don't know what you don't know. How do you know?
I suppose so. But look, it must be very, very difficult for someone who thinks, look, I've got this absolutely brilliant idea. I've done my mock-up model, and look, I just really believe in this product. I think I can do it. But they might just not have the acumen to know how to pick up the phone and call people and make those contacts to get it underway.
Yep, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head at the beginning. It all starts with a plan, and most people don't know how to make a plan. And the thing is you wouldn't build a house or engage a builder without a plan, because a house would fall down. So people start businesses often because they don't like their boss and they think their boss is an idiot and that they can do a better job. But they actually have no plan as far as, well, how am I going to do that? Who's my target market? How much is it going to cost me to run this business? Where am I going to market the business? Do I have marketing skills? Especially if you're a tradesperson, or if you've got a trade or a skill, you tend to be good at that trade or skill, not at the business acumen side. You won't know how to write a budget or a business plan or write a marketing plan. So it's very difficult for them to have a skill that they've never been exposed to before.
Yes, I have a young fellow in my family who is an apprentice electrician, and look, he's doing okay. I don't know where he's going to, whether he'll be someone who has his own electrical business or whether he'll be someone who will work for somebody for the rest of his life. But I thought, when he said, I'm going to be an electrician, should he have gone and got himself an MBA first and then say, now I'm going to become an electrician?
Very good, interesting question. And the thing is a business, I call the definition of a business, is a commercial, profitable enterprise that can actually work without you. That's, to me, the definition of a business. It's not determined upon your skills and effort in that product that you're selling. Because if it is, it can't be scalable. It's basically, if you're an electrician and your business is doing electrical work and it's based upon your labour, you will only ever have a job. Unless you take yourself out of the business and replace yourself and scale the business up, and then get the business acumen side of the education so that you can scale it up. And I met an interesting entrepreneur once, and he had a theory. He said, I never, ever buy, start or invest in a business that I can do myself.
Yeah.
Because I do not ever want to get a call on a Saturday or a Sunday or a long weekend at any time when someone says, oh, such and such is sick, you need to come down. He only invests in areas, in skill areas, buying, starting, that he cannot actually physically do. So he only ever is an entrepreneur. He never works in the business.
Yes, look, you hear so many stories about people who invest perhaps their life savings. Sometimes you hear stories of folks who sell their houses to start up a business only to fail.
Yep.
And I feel so sorry for them. In fact, as I said on the Shark Tank, which I watched on Tuesday, I felt so sorry for the in some cases the couples who went in with what looked like a really good idea, but they were projecting their business value to be worth, in some cases millions of dollars, but they couldn't prove to the sharks why they had valued their property or their business at those millions of dollars.
Yes, and it is sad. And you mentioned earlier, I specialise in helping business owners get their business plans together. And I would say over a dozen times over the last, probably 2 or 3 years, I've had business owners that have come to me with an amazing idea. Then we've done their business plan, and so sad, but so wonderful, they've worked out it's not viable.
Yeah.
And they've thanked me profusely and said, thank you so much. You've saved us an absolute fortune. One guy reckoned I'd saved him about $200,000 because we'd worked out that the numbers just didn't add up. If that little number down the bottom of that profit and loss is a minus and not a plus, and you can't work out how to get it to be a plus, business isn't viable. You cannot run a business indefinitely with a minus, with a net loss. It can't happen.
Can't happen, no, that's correct. You look recently just at some of the big businesses that have just turned their toes around. Toys R Us is one which is closing down all over the nation. Now, this has been a big company that's done extremely well. And look, I haven't really read a lot about why they're having their closing down sale that's going. But Toys R Us was an iconic name in the business of selling toys to parents for their kids. What went wrong there? Did they have a business plan that just went kaput?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you've got a very big national organisation, it might be maybe one area of the market that's pulling it down, and so it actually pulls the rest down. And maybe, I wasn't working with them, but maybe in their case they had parts that were profitable, parts that were not profitable, and then looking at the overall picture, it just wasn't viable to keep going. Because, unless you've got something else that's propping it up, it just can't go indefinitely at a loss. But
after you, God.
It is sad to see when people do have these ideas, and it just doesn't have any legs.
You see so many stories of youngsters who have this great dream of being a cafe owner or a restaurant owner, and you see so many restaurants that just come and go, and they just look like they're not making any money. And, of course, a big investment in putting a restaurant together. Is that one of the biggies that can go bust because of a business plan that hasn't been put in place?
Absolutely, Alan. And I think that actually really sort of slightly annoys me, because I feel very sorry for the people who are the landlords, because often what they've done, and I've seen it happen time and time again with entrepreneurs, they own the property, and in an attempt to get a new restaurant to lease the property for, say, 5 years, they might give them free rent for 6 months. Restaurant goes in, takes the free rent for 6 months, and then puts their hand up. They haven't done their plan. They haven't worked out how much is actually going to be gone in wastage. Haven't done research on how many restaurants are in the area, if there's a good demand for what they want. And then they haven't done research on, all of the different things that go into it. And then they run it for 6 months, and then, we haven't made enough money. And now we've got to start paying rent. So one of them just puts their hand up and says, we're bankrupt.
Yeah, we're gone. That's right. Yeah.
You see that all the time.
Sure.
And their shop's there, and then they're gone. You think, the poor landlord, they've signed a lease to give them free rent, and then they've gone and not done their homework.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, nobody is a winner. Well, what sort of products and what sort of people do you see coming to you, Suzanne, who are asking for advice?
People really that have an idea, that want to possibly go to a bank and want to get finance, so they need to have something concrete to take to the bank. They also might want to go to put in for a grant. There's a lot of government grants out there, and they need to have a really good business plan to go and put in for a grant. And also the other very common one I get is people that have been in business for 3 or 4 years that started up, maybe like your young nephew there, an electrician, and thought, great, I love being an electrician, I'm going to start my business. It started to grow in the first year. Then he took on another electrician, and then took on another one because it started to grow, got some big building companies, and then he's got to a ceiling. And it's like, I don't know where to go now.
Yeah.
I'm doing my books at night. my wife and kids never see me. I'm working all day on the tools. How do I scale this business? How do I actually get a life? It's almost like the business is taking their life away. It's not giving them a life. And so I will help them to look at, okay, how many jobs do you need to do? What are your expenses? How can we get some help in and work out how we can get a good, profitable model for them?
Yeah. So how can you make enough money to have a good life for yourself and your family, and your workers have a good life for their families as well, but still have a life?
Yeah, exactly. So often it might start with just getting a half a day a week bookkeeper. It might happen with somebody doing answering the phones for them, so they're not getting interrupted. It's looking at the areas of their business that they're doing that somebody with a less billable hour rate, they can get to do that job. So keep them on the highly skilled work for that time.
Yes, indeed.
You're slowly get them up.
You're situated on the west coast of the country. How are things looking in WA? We hear some sort of fairly sad stories about the economy of WA. Although it looks like the GST in the right proportion is finally making its way west. How are things looking in WA as far as startups go?
I think there is a very positive vibe that I'm getting at the moment here at home, because what happens in WA is when we have a mining boom, there is a ripple effect that trickles down to all the various tiers and services. And we've got some really big projects coming to WA over the next few years, and everybody is talking about them. And there is this underlying excitement of this new financial year and what opportunities lay for people that get the runoff effect from the mining boom. So, it's a huge ripple effect when it happens. So I would say it's exciting at the moment.
The sort of assistance that you can give, when they come in with their plan, their idea, or their sort of a plan, are you able to sort of really help them with a business plan? Or as you said, there was one who you said you saved probably a couple of $100,000 when you got down to the nitty-gritty. The business plan was not good enough to make any money out of it.
No, exactly. So basically I help business owners. I hold their hand and facilitate for them to create a successful business plan. So I actually help them create it. So it's their words, their language, their numbers. They do the research. So I actually step by step them through the process. And then a lot of the time, 90% of the time, they just are off and away and will pop back if they need any help from time to time, or other people say, Suze, I'd like you to take my hand and be my coach and take me on the journey. And I see them on a weekly or fortnightly basis and hold them accountable to, okay, let's look at your budget. Let's look at your plan. How are you tracking to plan? How's the marketing plan going? Who's our target market at the moment? How, are we contacting our target market? What are their needs of your target market now that you're meeting? And what's working for us? What's not working for us? And going through all of that on a weekly or fortnightly basis to keep them on track with their plans.
Suzanne, are the positives outweighing the negatives at the moment?
For me, but if you talk to my husband, he says I look through life with rose-coloured glasses.
That's okay.
So maybe that's me, and I'm just hearing a lot of people excited about what's happening. That I think the property market's starting to improve a bit. The mining projects are all coming up at the moment for about to start, and I just think things are looking up. New financial year is a time for everybody to clean slate and say, I'm going to make a change in my business or in my life, and I'm going to run the business instead of the business running me, and what do I have to do to change that? And it's just a good time.
Suzanne Laidlaw is a business reformer, coach and entrepreneur's mentor, a sort of a shark, if you like, and joined us on Australia Overnight. Suzanne, do you have a website folks can look in to see what your business is all about?
Yes, it's just my name, which is Suzanne with the double Z, and then Laidlaw. And .com.au.
Fantastic. Suzanne, it's been great having a chat with you on Australia Overnight. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure.